Hi, I'm Jason Sterling. I'm a member of the EA Creator Network, and today we have a very simple, traditional speed build. This will be a speed build through the entire build process of this particular house. This is going to be my family's home for the upcoming pack adventure awaits that I'll use for gameplay. And I based it to some extent on research I did of current New Zealand new housing builds. So there's some things there that are a little bit different than we do here in the United States. And I noticed a lot of New Zealand housing options that were popping up were very contemporary, very modern. So that obviously is going to be reflected here in this build. Now I'm going to step back and let the speed build continue on again, like a traditional speed build. At the end, I'll return. I'll have a brief commentary on why I chose certain things, floor plan wise for this house, and kind of do a little brief standard sort of walkthrough of the completed version. So please hit like, subscribe, and notify, and I'll see you at the end of the build. good to see you again. Let's talk a little bit about this house. Now, one thing that I thought was very, very interesting about homes in New Zealand, there's two things that I found very, very interesting. One is almost all of the plans had a sort of home office, but it wasn't done in the way that we do here in the States, which would be either a pretty defined separate room, even if it's a little bit open to the rest of the house, or just more of an alcove or a closet type area. Like, it's not too uncommon that you might have double doors, you open the doors, and in a space that might normally contain sort of a closet, there is a built-in structure of a desk and shelves and places to put your computer in new housing. I'm talking about new housing here in Oklahoma. So in New Zealand, it is a separate space. It is kind of, but it's kind of separated from everything else, so it's really pretty private. It's not just an alcove or sort of a closet type of space, but it's also not really a room, but it is kind of a room because it is private. It is private. It doesn't feel like it's part of the rest of, say, a large great room. And that's what you can see what I did here. I put it back behind a structure that represents built-in shelving and the half bath, the guest bathroom, right next to the master bedroom. That way it'd be easy access for the grown-ups in the house to use. And it's fairly small, but much bigger than just an alcove or a closet style space. You'll also notice there are two different areas here that could be considered kind of an office area. One over by the kitchen is meant more for kids. So if you are playing video games, or maybe you're doing your homework and mom or dad or whoever is in the kitchen kind of cooking dinner, you're all kind of there in that sort of great room sort of space. So that's really meant for that purpose, although anybody could use it. It's a computer, right? But it's really kind of meant for that purpose. Now, the other thing that I found very interesting about New Zealand new housing was a lot of them, and we're talking sort of typical middle-class housing, a lot of them had a separate area to the kitchen. Depending on the floor plan, it might be listed as the scullery, which is a little bit, here in the United States, a little bit of an archaic term that would refer to a part of the kitchen, or a part of the home, really, not just the kitchen, a part of the home, where you would go to prepare food or prep food more accurately. Sometimes it also was listed as just a pantry, although it's definitely a small room. Again, not really like a pantry like you'd have here in the United States, which is just going to be shelves to store something in. This is like a room with countertops, cabinetry, a sink, almost like a small kitchen, a secondary kitchen. Some floor plans refer to it as a butler's pantry, which again is a little bit of an archaic term here in the United States. It used to be very common in the United States, even for middle-class homes, say 100 years ago, 140, 50 years ago. You would have a butler's pantry between the kitchen and the dining room. So you could bring food there to stage it to bring on out to the dining room. Plus you would store dishes there, glassware, silverware, things you're going to use for the meal. And also too, if you lived in a townhouse and the kitchen was on the first floor or the basement, a walkout basement, then the butler's pantry would be where you'd use a waiter, a small elevator to lift the food from the kitchen up to that area. And again, they would kind of stage it and set it there and then bring it out to the table. So I saw that term used a lot too on these plans. And it does seem to be somewhere where the expectation is that someone in the house would go back there to prep food, is what I think. But you wouldn't really cook the food back there because there's still a stove. And a lot of times there was a fridge that was reachable from the main kitchen, right? Or in the main kitchen. So there wasn't a fridge actually back in the scullery, right? Now, in the case of this floor plan, I did put the fridge in a location that would be easy to reach from both the kitchen area right there by the stove or the scullery. I put in both. And the one benefit I can see, I can see this, I can see why maybe people use it, is all the messes maybe back there. because just cooking food on a stove isn't necessarily that messy of a process. The mess comes in chopping everything up, preparing the meat that you're going to cook, stuff like that. So I did kind of see it as like, well, maybe that's what they use it for. It feels weird because you're so isolated from the rest of the house and the rest of the family back there. But I could see its purpose. If that's what it's used for. If you're from New Zealand, you're probably not watching this if you're from New Zealand. But if you're from New Zealand, comment down below. What do people use these spaces, these sculleries or butler's pantries or just a pantry for? In the case of this house, I didn't want my Sims to be entirely isolated, right? A little bit of my modern Americanism came to the forefront. And I did put glass walls there a little bit so that you can kind of see who's back there. Also here in the United States and globally, please hit like, subscribe, and notify if you're watching right now or watching. I almost said watching right now or watching later on archive. I'm not actually doing a live stream right now. I'm a little tired. This is late at night where I'm at, and it's after I've been working, of course, all day. And so I wanted to record this real quick so I could edit it in tomorrow morning at work if I have time at some point. I can stick it on to this speed build that you just watched. But so yes, please hit like, subscribe, and notify. But this is where my family's going to live. And when the pack gets here, I will move my family in, and we're going to adjust it a little bit based on the new assets from the pack. So we will put some stuff in here that kind of ties into that. I don't think there's enough room on this. Well, there's not. There's not enough room on this lot for the jungle gym equipment that comes with the new pack. But I might put it on a larger lot and then slide it over to create a backyard so I could put some jungle gym stuff out there so they could play on the new slides and stuff like that. So please hit like, subscribe, and notify so you won't miss that or anything else along the way, because I'll be doing videos and live streams leading right on up to when we receive the pack. Rambling on here a little bit. Please hit like, subscribe, and notify. And until that time or next time, thanks for watching.